race fans, Shane Carlson here for you with Full Throttle Weekly again this week. Last week we were in Phoenix with the Nationwide and Sprint Cup Series. This week we're heading to Las Vegas with again the Nationwide and the Sprint Cup Series. Trucks are off, but let's recap Phoenix. Last week, Saturday, Kyle Busch just dominated in the Nationwide race, and it was actually a rain-shortened race. NASCAR called the race 32 laps short of the scheduled distance because it started raining in the desert of all things, and I heard like it hadn't rained there in about 70 days. So I guess if you need rain in your town or whatever, you might as well just schedule a NASCAR race there, because you know in Daytona we had that 6.5 hour rain delay there too. So anyway, that was kind of a surprise. But yeah, Kyle Busch dominated, and you know he probably would have won the race either way if they would have ran the whole scheduled distance or not. But actually, the Sprint Cup regulars swept the top 5 positions. So Elliott Sadler was the top running Nationwide regular in the race Saturday. He finished 6th. He's 3rd in points. Regan Smith continues to lead by Trevor Bayne over 5 points in the standings there. Sunday on the Sprint Cup side, Kevin Harvick, man, he dominated. He was driving a rocket ship Sunday. Qualified 13th, but in 2 of the 3 practices prior to the race, he was the quickest car, and you know just his 2nd start for Stewart-Haas Racing, so that's pretty impressive coming over to a brand new team and winning like that. It reminds me last year of Matt Kenseth, what he did with the 20 car. Came over from Roush Fenway to join Joe Gibbs Racing and won 7 races last year. I think that's what Kevin Harvick is looking at doing this year. I think the mentality of coming over to a new team, you're now expected to just go win and pick up where you left off with your old team, or get better even, like Kenseth did last year. You know, even before Kevin Harvick went over to Stewart-Haas Racing, he had already won at Phoenix 4 times. So, including the last race in the fall, second to last race of the 2013 season. So, he's on a roll there. Now has 5 wins at Phoenix. That's most of any driver, and so he's really starting out 2014 strong. He wrecked on the last lap at Daytona. Otherwise, he would have had a pretty strong run there. Also, top 10 for sure. But this week we go to Phoenix International, or rather Las Vegas Motor Speedway from Phoenix International Raceway. So this is the first time this season that we go to a 1.5 mile track, and the 1.5 mile tracks make up the bulk of the NASCAR schedule. 11 out of the 26 tracks on the schedule are 1.5 miles. And so we're going to be picking up kind of where we left off earlier or last season. We need to find out who's going to be good at the 1.5 miles, because if you can figure it out on the 1.5 miles, you got a pretty good shot at winning the championship. Kenseth won on a 1.5 miles 4 times last year. Johnson only won on it once in Texas. But for the most part, you know, if you're good on the 1.5 miles, you're good pretty much everywhere. Or everywhere that make up a lot of the points to be had out there. So this weekend, you're gonna be watching for aerodynamics. It's really touchy, especially at Las Vegas. The tracks or the speed of the track is just so incredibly fast. And handling is another key thing. And you want to keep, if you look at the cars this weekend, look at the splitter and how the front of it's kind of. If you look at the car, it's the bumper area kind of close to the ground, and teams will try to set up the car so that area is almost just scraping the ground the whole way around the track. And the reason they do that is because the less air that gets underneath the car, the less or the more downforce the car will have, and the less drag it creates in the air. And so that creates for faster speeds and, as a result, a faster race car. So teams try to do that, and they try to get it as close as possible without actually touching the ground, because if it touches the ground, that creates friction, which slows the car down, and you don't want that. But you want to find an overall balance where it's pretty happy all the way around the track. And if you know, teams that can hit on that will probably be up near the front of the field battling for the win at the end of it. So that's kind of my take on what we might see here in Las Vegas. My picks for this weekend, nationwide race, I'm gonna go with Trevor Bayne. I realize I'm picking him for already the second time this season, but the Fords have won the last two nationwide races there, and the last two nationwide races in Vegas have also been won by a nationwide regular. And I think Trevor Bayne fits the mold really well. I think he can do pretty good things at Las Vegas, and the mile and a half suit his style pretty well. So I'm looking at him in the number 6 Ford this weekend to win it. On the Cup side, a lot of people are talking about, or not talking about, Jimmie Johnson, however you look at it. He's got a 4th place and a 6th place finish, and people are saying, what's wrong with Jimmie Johnson? And for any other driver in the Cup Series, that's a fantastic start to the season. Most people would take that. But if you're Jimmie Johnson, you're a 6-time champion, that's a relatively quiet start, but I mean, that's nothing to worry about. So I think he's gonna get the 48 back to victory lane this weekend, and all the critics will be hushed up after this weekend, wondering what happened to Jimmie Johnson. And so he's my pick. 4-time winner at Vegas already. So if you're a gambling person, you might take Jimmie Johnson this weekend. So yeah, that's all I got for you this weekend. I'll be back next week to preview Bristol Motor Speedway, the half mile bull ring in Tennessee. So have fun watching the races this weekend. Thanks for watching.